Hey, what's up, everybody? Bitcoin on the monthly chart is looking extremely bullish, in my opinion. We have right now this incredible bullish hammer candle right here that is breaking above this close, and a tiny bit of this close here. So that's very, very important, right? After we had this huge wick. I mean, you can see how big that wick is, right? And then this candle here was also somewhat of a bullish hammer candle with an extreme large wick, right? And now we see this monthly candle trading above, right? Trading above these candles, which is a very good thing. So, yeah, I think we're on our way, slowly but surely, to get the heck out of here. It feels like it's been forever, right? I mean, we're on our 8th month, right? I mean, 8 months is, I mean, that's a long time talking about this correction here. So, what is the whole idea? Well, that this is a fourth wave, right? Just like this is a wave two. So we have a 1, a 2, a 3, a 4, and now we're going to go up and get 5. And we're getting evidence of that fifth wave because of this candle right here. So the problem is we still have 15 days left before that candle closes. So we'll see how that plays out. But yeah, I just wanted to come on and talk about that. And then we're also going to touch on the altcoins here. But what I really wanted to emphasize as well is look at this. We are officially breaking above this channel, right? This basically bullish hammer candle. I mean, this bullish bull flag, as you will, or even a falling wedge or what have you. Yeah, let's look at the weekly chart. We have a bullish engulfing candle that is breaking above this swing high that we had back here in September, right? And I said it's looking pretty interesting because this weekly candle here, that was kind of like a shooting star, like a reversal candle there. I think they call it a gravestone doji, something like that. And that kind of told me, and we wicked down right back into this base here, right? So that was an important milestone for Bitcoin to come down and test that. And now you can see this weekly candle is reacting based off of that. What's also very bullish, right, is that we have officially broken above the 702 Fibonacci retracement, which is a very important fib level to get through. That means we only have really 1, 2 retracement levels left, not counting the all-time high over here. So we have a daily close above the 702. You can see right there, right? And then we also have this candle trading above this candle that closed above the 702. But what I'm really looking for is what happens this Sunday, right? How does this weekly candle close? If it closes exactly where it's at right now, we have a home run, right? If we pull back below 66,600, 66,600, then it isn't, we really, really need this weekly candle to close above the 702. If we can do that, then that's going to be an extreme point of confluence for the bullish idea, which is the fifth wave. So lots of interesting things going on here. Now, as far as the macro count goes, do I still believe that this is for the bullish idea, we have 3 down, right? We have 3 up, and then we have 5 down. So A, B, C, right? And then we have a 1, 2, and now this is a 1, 2, and now we're about to go up in the third wave. That is kind of what I'm thinking here, right? I don't think it's going to go straight up. I think it's got to consolidate a little bit. I think it's going to pull back a little bit, you know, because you're coming right up to all of these swing highs right in here, right? So this is going to be a critical area, and I expect some consolidation here. But the point is, we want to get into that sort of zone, right? So, you know, entering into this zone is going to be critical, right? Because we could still get rejected here and come back down. In which case, it could still be a 1-2, 1-2, right? So we'll have to see how that plays out. But as far as the bearish idea, right, which is 3 down, 3 up, and this is 1, all of this is 2, and then we get 3. I don't think that's the case anymore, guys. I was saying back over here that it could still be the case because it was in the realm of possibility, right? But as far as it coming now, it's just getting a little bit too big, right? I mean, it could still technically happen because you got what, 3, 3, and you got 3 here, right? So this is a 3-wave move that could still come down in another 3, right? So 1, 2, 3, and then go. I mean, it's still possible, but it's very unlikely because it's getting too big. And then also, if that was the case and we had to make another low, it wouldn't line up with wave 2, because remember, wave 2 is 150 days. And this is also 150 days, right around that 150-day area from the low, right? But not counting all of this and not counting all of this. So that's kind of the difference. So anyways, looking good. On the daily chart, we still haven't technically broken above the downward resistance line. Again, I'm going to be looking for that monthly close. The month of October, I think, is going to be very critical. So there's your supply line, and here is our demand line. So you can see the demand line isn't as strong, right, as the supply line. So when these two things converge, it's going to be sometime mid-November. So approximately 30 days away from us making a big decision here when it comes to the Bitcoin price. Now, this is not financial advice. I don't know exactly what's going to happen. My understanding of what I see, my assessment of my analysis is I believe that this is a 4th wave. I've said that ever since we've had this 5-wave move to the upside, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I said, look, we're going to need to pull back in a 3-wave pullback. We got a 3-wave pullback, but it became much more complex, right? Which is okay. That's usually what happens with 4th waves. They become a lot bigger than you think. But I think enough time has elapsed for this thing to really start moving in the right direction. You can kind of see a little bit of a shoulder, a little bit of a head, a little bit of a shoulder here. You got a little bit of a neckline going on there. So the measured move approximately, if we can break out of here, would be about that 84K. Look at that, 84K. And that's what I've been saying. I think, you know, it's really hard to tell where it's going to go, but it's anywhere between 84 and 120. So if we even that out, you're probably looking at like maybe 107 or so, somewhere around that area. But if we take a fib level from here down to here, right, the 1618 is about 88K. To get to 100K, you need to hit that 2.272. The 2.618 would be 112. I don't think Bitcoin goes higher than 112. I know people have like 140, 150. I mean, maybe I might be surprised, but you have the 4.236 at 150 there. I'm thinking more along the lines of probably, you know, about that 80 to 110 area. Now, it's possible it can go higher, but that's where I'm leaning towards. As far as a trend-based Fibonacci retracement, right, we can look at this move from here up to here and then back down. The 161A comes in at right at 88K. The 261A comes right around 94K. So anywhere in those areas would be idealistic for a move. Now, remember, a fifth wave needs what? 5 waves. And what do we have so far? I mean, we don't even really have, we only have a wave 1. So if this is a 1, and that's a 2, and this is a 1, and that's a 2, then this could be the third wave, which means this is wave 1 of 3. So if we look closely here, let me get rid of that. 1 second here. If we look closely, like let's go to the 4-hour chart, and let's try to count this wave here. Okay, that's a pretty big wave 1, if you ask me. So 1, 2. This looks like 3. We're gonna hit a 4 just like this, like that, right? And then we get a 5. So that would be wave 1 of 3. Okay, and then once we get up to wave 1 of 3, it's gonna be somewhere, remember, in this zone that we just talked about, right? I don't think it's going to happen today or even tomorrow, but maybe sometime next week, or maybe sometime, maybe a little bit sooner than that. This thing has to flag out into a wave 4, and we know wave 4s can be a little bit complex. But once we get into that fifth wave territory and we get divergence between the third and the fifth, let me put the RSI on. So you see the RSI, we're an overbought, right? We pull back, we hit the high, but look, now we got bearish divergence, right? And then it could even actually hit the high again, and then kind of have that ABC before going higher, right? But here's where it gets really interesting. As soon as this wave finishes, right? Because remember, if this is 1 and 2, and this is 1 and 2, then we have 1, 2, and now I'm actually going to have to go a little bit higher to the 8-hour chart, zoom out a little bit there. Okay, now we go. So we have a 1, a 2, a 1, a 2, and this is 1 of the third, 2 of the third, and then we get the big one, which is the third of the third. That's technically supposed to be the biggest wave, or either that or the third of the fifth, right? So if we count this, 1, 2, 1, 2, right? And then we have 1 and 2 of wave 3, and then we go up into wave 3, pretty big wave, right? And then if I'd probably be better off doing it in linear scale so we can see more of the depth of the wave. But then we would pull back into a wave 4, and then we would get a wave 5, okay? And that would be wave 3. And then, let me just take everything off now. And then from there, right? So essentially, right, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we would have this ABC, right? And then we would come up and hit the high again, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Now, if this is wave 1 of 3, it could be a little bit bigger. But we're just going to have to see how it all plays out. Essentially, right, as we get more waves, we can get more details in those waves. But right now, we're at the right track. Now, what do I think the next move is going to be? I think this is going to flag out a little bit, and we're going to hit the high. And once we get in that zone, that's when we're going to get a bigger correction like that, right? And then this is going to be 1 2 1 2 1 2, right? And then we hit that third wave, that big third wave, pull back, right? And I mean, it could even be, for example, like an expanded flat, something like that. And then we get that 5 wave up, right? And that would be the end of the bull market, really. I mean, it could happen fast. And then we would go in distribution, right? And that's when people sell their Bitcoins into the altcoins that are way down there, right? And then the altcoins start pumping up, right? And then that's when everything's over. So that's the general idea. We're just going to have to see exactly how these waves play out. So anyways, that's kind of what I have here for Bitcoin. If you look at the TD sequential, we're actually on a 9 sell right now, right? That doesn't mean the price is going to sell. That just means we're probably going to consolidate for a little while. We do have a doji 9 as well. So this candle is going to end in 4 hours. If it ends like that, it'd probably be maybe a decent shorting opportunity, potentially. Now, could we come back down and back test this area? That's what I'm thinking here. I'm thinking. So if this wave is finished, I mean, it could be very well finished. For example, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It could very well be finished. And then we sort of flag out in here, right? We consolidate for probably the next week or so, and then that's when we continue much higher. So that's kind of what I'm thinking so far. And then once we get in this zone, maybe a little bit more consolidation, and then eventually breaking out. So yeah, that's pretty much it for Bitcoin. As far as the super small time frames, like let's go to the 1 hour chart. Let's turn off the sequential. Let's reset it here. I mean, it still looks a little bullish right now. I mean, it still seems like it could hit the high again. You see we had this big pump, this big slam down, and now we're just 1 2 1 2 1 2. What do we call that? We're bottlenecking, guys. We're bottlenecking. So we could have a big pump here before the correction here, right? So we could pump up to that 69, 70K area before flagging out. Get everybody super, super bullish, right? We just have to be a little bit careful. So here's my biggest concern, is that the altcoins are kind of not keeping up right now. Bitcoin's kind of smoking them in the dust. So what happens to the altcoins once Bitcoin is finished with this wave? 1 2 3 4 5, right? Once it's finished, it's going to go into a correction. Okay, my question is, if altcoins are kind of doing nothing, right? Let's bring up XRP here. You can see XRP is kind of doing nothing right now. You know, it's still, you know, building this base down in here, right? My question is 1 2 3 4 5. Once we get that 5 wave move and we start consolidating, we start correcting, well, the issue is what happens to like other coins, because they're kind of like that. Does that mean we get a big dump, right? Or does that mean once we start consolidating for Bitcoin, that's when the altcoins start moving up? So sometimes it can go both ways, right? When Bitcoin is finished with the move and the altcoins haven't moved, a lot of times the altcoins make a big move after Bitcoin already made that move. But sometimes crypto or the altcoins, they don't make, they're kind of flat, right? And then Bitcoin makes a big move. And then once the move is finished, Bitcoin goes into the correction. And then once Bitcoin corrects, the altcoins correct even harder, even though they never even went into a big move. You see what I mean? So let's look at, for example, let me go back to Bitcoin for a minute. We'll take all that off the screen. Let's throw up theta here. Okay, there's theta, right? And you can see the difference, right? You see what I mean, right? And I like theta because it's better representation of what the rest of the market is doing, right? So when I say theta, or I mean, you could pick total 3, you can say Ethereum, I mean, whatever. I mean, they're pretty much very similar. So we're pretty correlated through here, but then all of a sudden Bitcoin just said, see you later, right? And we have this divergence now. You see that, right? Bitcoin is trending up, altcoins are trending down. So what's going to happen is maybe Bitcoin hits the high, maybe altcoins hit the low. But then once Bitcoin starts to have that three-way pullback, we flagging out. That's when theta has already been flagging out. Look at that. We've already been flagging out. And then eventually we go back up and then we get correlated again. You see what I mean? So we're correlated, but now we're diverging. We're diverging away. So what does that mean? That means Bitcoin is becoming overvalued against alts, right? So if you're trading alt versus BTC pair, I mean, I think I would be moving a little bit of Bitcoin into some of these altcoins simply because, you know, they're diverging away from each other. And eventually they'll come back and meet each other, right? So that's just kind of how I look at it. But it could have the opposite effect, right? We could come down and then alts come down even harder. So it kind of depends on the situation. So we'll have to wait and see. All right, let's move on to the altcoins. And I didn't make a video yesterday because our dog passed away, and it was a kind of a tough moment. I mean, we've only had the dog for about a year. We have 4 dogs. Had the dog for about a year, and he was my son's favorite dog, and he passed away. So it was a kind of a sad day, and you know, I didn't really have too much emotional attachment to the dog, but my son loved the dog, and it was hard for him because, you know, he's only 3 years old and he's saying, Ollie, Ollie, you know, where's Ollie at? And I think that's the saddest part, is trying to explain to him that Ollie's not here anymore. He's in heaven, you know, and he doesn't understand, right? I mean, my dog, he's a Belgian Malinois, and we also have a Husky, and we have a mixed, kind of like a mixed mutt. And then Ollie was the 4th dog. He basically showed up on our doorstep one day, and we took him in. He had him and his sister, but we got the sister adopted, so and we ended up keeping him. And yeah, tough. So rest in peace, Ollie. And there's our other 3 dogs there. Max, our Belgian Malinois, he's the oldest, and Duchess, she's a Husky, she's the youngest, but she's all grown up now. But Max, he's my main boy. I mean, he's one of the most loyal dogs you can ever ask for. I mean, it's the same breed that works on the Border Patrol, works with law enforcement. I mean, he's really not aggressive at all. He's just a big old teddy bear. But he's getting up there. I mean, he's about 9.5, 10 years old, and he's got hip dysplasia, he's got arthritis. I'm just dreading the day that's gonna happen. But anyway, people who have dogs, cats, pets, I mean, they know what it's like. And when you have a child that's attached to the dog, it just makes it that much more difficult, you know what I mean? So, but, you know, without dogs, you know, life would be, I think, empty. I think dogs give us a lot of, for me, like, spiritual energy, and they just make you feel, I mean, like therapy. They give you, you know, when you're having a crappy day, you know, your dog comes up to you, they don't care, right? They just come up and lick you, and, you know, and that's just one of the cool things about having dogs. I mean, cats, I kind of look at cats like teenage girls. They kind of like they kind of like, yeah, whatever, yeah, just leave me alone. But then like dogs are kind of like like little boys. Like they're just always getting into stuff and playing around, right? I mean, cats do too. But anyways, that's all I'll say about that. And that's kind of what's been going on. And the last dog is Milo. We've had him for a while. I've actually found this dog in a dumpster enclosure in San Bernardino. Um, Man, he was tied up. I think a homeless person had him, but he was basically abandoned, and he had no tags. We took him in, took him to the vet, right? You know, because the school, he was actually on a school property, and the school was going to call someone to come pick him up, and I said I'll take him. So I came home, and there he was, family, right? Last but not least, this is Mickey. He passed away a couple years ago. He ruled the roost. I mean, he's small, but he kept the other big dogs in line. Like you didn't want to mess with him. He was such a character. He would howl. He would try to howl when the siren, ambulance would drive by, and he'd be like, "Woo!" And it was just so precious. But that's a Maltese there. All right, back to the price. It's a little bit bearish for XRP right now, simply because it looks like it's flagging out. Right, it looks like a bear flag. Like you have an impulse to the downside, and now you're flagging out. So if we flip that upside down, I mean, it kind of looks bearish, don't you think? Don't you think it needs to like break out here? I mean, that's just the way it looks. But if it's not, it could turn into a diagonal, right? It's getting a little bit too big for a fourth wave. So we could have a diag here, and there's a couple different ways you can look at that, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, right? And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or actually, no, it would actually be 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, and then 3 down, and then maybe 3 back up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, something like that. Or you can even say, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then get that ABC, and then go up. Just a little bit early to tell right now. We are coming up on this trend line here, and it kind of looks maybe like a little bit of a rising wedge, which is not the most bullish thing. But all in all, for XRP, here's what I'll say. I'm still expecting a retracement, right? Because if you look at XRP, we're right at support here. So you can see all of the confluence right here, right here, right here, right here, right? Same thing with the top of the range, which is this, right? So all of these areas in here. So, when you're at the bottom, this is time to accumulate, right? Just like when you're at the top, it's time to maybe distribute. So the market makers are playing the range, right? Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. They, sometimes they make more money ranging the price than they do actually expanding or, expanding the price, right? But all in all, I'm expecting for us to come back here into a retracement. So if we look at the retracement levels, I want to say at least 60 cents, right? I want to see it come up to about 58, 61 cents. And then from there, we can analyze the wave structure on the way up. And then once we get into the retracement levels, then it becomes probably a little bit more difficult of what it's going to do. But I would expect from there, if we have a proper correction, come up and hit the high again and come back to this channel. And the whole thing to me looks like a flat. So you cannot deny this wave here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? We have a wave 1. This is a 3-way pullback. This is another, so we have 3 down, we have 3 up, and it looks like this is 5. So it could be 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, and it's a flat. It looks like a running flat so far, right? And now we're sort of 1, 2, 1, 2, and maybe we start going up. So that would be a 1, this would be a 2, right? This whole thing is a 2, and now we're going into that third wave. It's just going to take time. So that's kind of the way I'm looking at it. Let's get back to the retracement levels, and then we can talk. But as of now, it's a little bit lackluster, a little bit depressing, a little bit, like wah, 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 not so shabby. But sometimes they do that. They shake out before the breakout, as they like to say. I mean, we still got a little bit of a trend line here. I mean, depending how you draw it, you could argue that it's already broken below, and now we're sort of meandering about. But anyway, we'll come back to XRP. A little bit of help here would be looking at XLM or XRP versus Bitcoin. I still like what I see with XRP versus Bitcoin. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have 3 down. You have 3 up. And now look what you got. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. So you have 3, 3, 5. So A, B, C, right? And if you look at the A, B, C, if you look in particular of the C wave, right, you need 5 waves. So we have 3 in A. We have 1, 2, 3 in B. And then it looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for wave C. So let's turn on the RSI. Do we have bullish divergence? We don't have bullish divergence on the RSI. Let's bump it up to the 6-hour chart. No. Let's bump it up to the 8-hour chart. No. So we don't have any divergence yet. So we might not be finished completely. But you know what? I'm still interested because we came right back down to the base, right? Here's your base. We came right down to it, and we also have 5 waves, right? So, I mean, this is a good area here. Let's see if we have any sequential. So if I look, this is the 8-hour chart. We don't have any sequentials. Let's see the 4-hour chart. Look at that. We made it to an 8. We barely missed the 9. Let's look at the daily. I know, okay, we're on a 5 on the daily. That's okay. Yeah, I think it's getting close. It's getting pretty close here for a reversal, because what the whole idea here is that this is a wave 1, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C. So 1, 2, let's go up for 3, 4, and 5. I mean, that's the idea, right? And when you look at the whole face of it, XRP versus Bitcoin, I mean, you can see we're at the lows here. So, low, 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 right? And we're slightly trending up, right? You got a downward resistance line right in here, and we're sort of apexing in here. So it's going to break out. It's just a matter of time. So, yeah, we'll see. All right, so total 3. Weekly chart looks good. We're still flagging out here. I mean, technically we've broken above the flag. Now, it's interesting because the altcoins actually broke above the flag faster than Bitcoin did. So we kind of broke out right here, and we came down, we back tested, had a little bit of a doji, and now we're reacting from it. So you know, it could be an ABC. We could flag out a little bit in here before going higher, but it's looking really promising. And when you zoom out on the macro, right, I mean, what do you see? Well, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, and I need 5. But if you look at the fifth, we only have 3 waves, right? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's get 5. And hopefully it's an extended fifth, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? Gets us up there pretty high. As far as a retracement or a target would go, I would be looking at least 2 trillion. I think 2 trillion would be a good number. Maybe $2.5 trillion for the altcoins, not counting Ethereum. So yeah, that would be quite a major milestone for the altcoins. So anyway, let's move on to let's go to THETA. So THETA on the weekly is okay. It's doing all right. It's hanging in there. Let's actually go down to, now the whole idea with THETA, right, as I've said many times, this is a bottoming process after a finished crash, right? And also, don't forget where we are. We're back testing this area right in here, right? That's a key area. And we're building a bottom on that back test level. So at the very least, I'm looking for a retracement back up to here, around that $2, $2.50, even $3, or even higher than that. So and once we get there, then we examine the wave structure and we can identify what the next move is, or at least try to, right? So that's kind of how I'm looking at the price of THETA. Now, as far as the short-term analysis, look at that. We had a doji. Look at that. We had a doji candle, and now a bullish engulfing candle following that. And look at that. It's pumping up as we speak. Let's zoom in to the 10-minute and see what we got. Look at that. Look at that. THETA is pumping right now. Look at that. Not bad at all. Now, to be fair, it's, you know, it's not, hasn't broken out yet, right? I mean, we're still kind of in this downtrend here. So yeah, we're gonna need to break those trend lines. But I'm liking this impulse. It looks a lot different than this one, than this one, than this one. It looks a little bit more impulsive than the others. As far as the wave structure, I mean, it's a pretty big mess. So just by looking at it, I mean, it looks like you got 1, 2, 3, and then you have 1, 2, 3, and then you have 1, 2, 3. So it might be finished. We have a W, X, and a Y. So 1, 2, 3. And now we're impulsing to the upside. Let's flag out, and then let's go. I mean, that's kind of how I see it. We'll see how that plays. If not, then we get a 3-way pullback, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. So it becomes a larger, more complex 5-wave move. And let me zoom out. I mean, this is the 10-minute chart, so just keep that in mind. It's not very significant at all. If we bump that up to the 1 hour, or let's go to the 4 hour. You know, I'm still looking at this as a wave 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So either that. So here's the thing: either this is an ABC, and this is a 1, 2, 1, 2, and we're about to rip to the upside 4, 5, right? 1, 2, and we go into that third wave. Or this is A, B, and now we're getting C. This is a flat. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A. We have A, B, C, B. It's a flat. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for C. A, B, C, right? And then it's more like a 1, A, B, C, 2, 1, A, B, C, 2. So 1, 2, 1, 2, and then we rip to that third wave. So it's all gonna be dependent on what happens in these retracement levels. So we'll find out. And those are the two ideas for theta. But both of them are bullish, and we have to respect that. And then also you can see the inverse head and shoulders, right? I mean, you can see a shoulder, a head. You got another shoulder here, right? So if we break that neckline, let's see, we break that neckline, we should get up to about $1. I mean, we should break that high, which would be good. About $1.55 or so. So we'll see how that plays out. Okay, CRV. Now CRV is also in a similar spot. Actually, let me line up theta side by side so I can kind of, yeah, okay. Yeah, it kind of has that inverse head and shoulders thing going for it. It's a little bit more corrective than theta, definitely. But again, I'm expecting a retracement here. So if we have to flag out, hit the low, and then come up for a retracement, or simply go up, whatever it is, I mean, that's kind of the case. Now, what do I think? Well, this looks to me like 3. Actually, the whole thing looks like 3. 1, 2, 3, right? So if this is an impulse and this is a 3-way pullback, if this could be a 1, a 2, we get 3, 4, and 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Take the liquidity, then go up, right? I did say it could be Wyckoff as well, and I still stand by that. It could very well be Wyckoff, where you have something like this. You kind of curl around here, you break the top, and now we're playing around in here, and then we continue higher, right? So that would be kind of like a Wyckoff style. But the real reason I'm bullish on CRV are, I could be wrong, right? Not financial advice. We could still hit the low, but because we have a very sharp impulse, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's a wave 1. Following this divergence here, boom, 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 right? Impulse very strongly, but look what we got after the impulse. A, B, C. We have a 3-way pullback. The only thing I don't like is how small this wave is compared to how big that wave is, right? I don't really like the shape as much. I wish it looked more like this, right? And then we go up. But it is a 3-wave shape regardless. And we're sort of building a base in here. And it has that inverse head and shoulders look to it. So let's see. Let's see if this could be a 1, a 2, and we moonshot for a wave 3. I mean, if October is gonna show up to the party, it needs to show up, right? Or November, December, right? But I don't think the big moves are going to happen until probably spring of next year. I mean, we could get some big breakouts, but as far as the big moves for altcoins, maybe next year. Because I'm still waiting for price to get back to this level, about 40 cents or so. And then even beyond that, right? Because at the very least, look what we have, guys. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? So what do you need? You need a 3-way pullback. But we don't have a 3-way pullback. We have 1, 2. Let's come up and get 3. If we get rejected here and come down, right? Maybe we continue going down. Or if we can flag out, we can break out, right? So, yeah, that's CRV. Q and T, not really interesting. I mean, you could say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or A, B, C, and a 1, 2, 1, 2, right? And now we're about to go into that third 4, 5, looking for a retracement. But if we have to break the low and get divergence, then I'm still looking for a retracement regardless. So higher prices are, in my opinion, on the horizon. All right, let's look at Celestia or THETA. I'm still really liking this coin. I know it's looking pretty good. We got a little bit of an inverse head and shoulders here. I mean, this whole thing to me looks like a bottoming process. Looks like some type of bottoming process. So after you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down, then you get the bottoming process. And then what do you wait for? A retracement. We should get a retracement back up to here. So that's what I'm waiting for. And when you look at the whole thing, I mean, that looks like a big 1, 2, right? Look at this. 1, 2, let's get 3, 4, 5. So what would be the sort of the target? Well, if I take a trend-based fib from the bottom of wave 1 to the top of wave 1, all the way down to the bottom of wave 2, potentially, the minimum would be about $34, and the maximum would be about $84, but it would probably even out somewhere around that $35 to $45 area, I want to say. I mean we're only at $6, so we got a little ways to go. But here's the thing. I think it could go way higher than that, because if it's a wave 3, remember, this is a new coin. It's barely been trading for any time, so it really hasn't experienced any bull run, right? This coin has not experienced an alt season. So what I would do is I would take a Fibonacci retracement from the bottom, or from the top to the bottom, and I would say $75 minimum for a wave 3. Right? And then what I would do is I would actually go to log scale, and you can see the 58. So between $58 and $75, even up to 100, maybe 120, 175, probably a little bit too high, but we'll see. We'll see how it plays out, because again, altcoins and alt seasons that haven't had a third wave typically far outperform their linear scale Fibonacci levels. So 1, 2, we should expect a big wave 3. If not, then we get a shallow wave 3 and we get an extended 5th. So we'll see how that plays. But yeah, I think it's bullish. Now, as far as the small time frames go, it's a little bit, I mean, obviously you have the inverse head and shoulders, right? I mean, that sticks out right off the bat. Boom, boom, boom. Right? I mean, right off the bat, you're looking at $10.50. But as far as the wave structure goes, I see 5 waves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? And then I see A, and then I see a 3-wave B, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe we get C. A, B, C. So we have a 1, A, B, C, 2. And then we go up for that big third wave. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. Now, if that's not the case, then what else could it be? Well, this could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is A, B, C, right? And then we have a 1, 2, 1, 2 of the third. And now we're going to go up to that third wave. Now, if I had to guess which one it would be, I mean, it's a little bit difficult to know right now. You know, I think, you know, this is flagging out kind of nicely. I really like the immediate short-term price action. Like if we go to the 1 hour chart, I really like this. I mean, look at that. That looks nice. Look at that. We have a 1, 2. You got a 3, you got a 4, you got a 5. You got divergence here. And now you're kind of flagging out in here. And you got that little pin bar doji candle. And now you're starting to climb up. So maybe we might get another push to the high. Right? Maybe. And that could be maybe a diagonal. 1, 2, 3. Or this could be a little bit more complex, and then 4 and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? And then A, B, C, and then go. So that would look like 1, 2, 1, 2, something like that, A, B, C, and then go up. You know, just more consolidation in here, right, with this deviation. So, yeah, I think it looks good so far. But we can also, if we go back to a smaller time frame, we can also retest this area, but we already kind of did on this area here. So if we had to come into like, you know, A, B, C, maybe we retest that area. That would be a good entry, I think, right around that $5.25 area. ADA, I mean, ADA is looking a little better. Again, you got an inverse head and shoulders, potentially if it rounds out, at least in the short term, because I'm still expecting ADA to get up in the retracement levels. You could see that big drop, and you could see this box down in here, right? So it wants to come up and retest it at some point. Now, it obviously it is still very corrective, but what I can see is it's basically kind of flagging out in here a little bit. So if we have a 1, 2, 1, 2, maybe we can get going soon and go for those retracement levels. If not, then this is going to be more complex, meaning A, B, C, and then we attempt. And if we can't, then we come up and we retest it as a resistance, and then we continue down. Then we know it's most likely going to test the low or even break the low. But then once that happens, then what else? We're still expecting a retracement, just at a lower level. Theta fuel, looking good. We have a shoulder, we have a head, we have a shoulder. I mean, it's flagging out right now. It's looking pretty good for upside. I mean, that's what I'm thinking for the price of Theta fuel. I know I haven't looked at it so much, but honestly, it's I mean, it's the same as Theta. Really, it's the same chart. It's just a little different as far as what happened over here. But what's going on right now is pretty much the same. And I really like Theta fuel because of this zone here. We're right at support. We broke out. We're flipping it as resistance. We're building a base. So what am I expecting? I'm expecting a retracement here. Now, as far as Theta fuel as the expanded flat goes, I mean, it was an expanded flat. You can see A, B, and then we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. C, A, B, C. Right? There's your flat. And now this could be a 1, 2, 1, 2. And now let's go. So, we'll see. Now, SHIB is where it starts to look a lot interesting. I mean, that looks freaking bullish to me. That's a massive wave there. Now, if you compare that to like Theta, I mean, that's a little wave compared to that. I mean, man, SHIB had a monster move there. So that tells me that, you know, the next wave could be pretty significant for SHIB. right? Because again, look how long, let me pull up theta too. Yeah, okay, yeah, there you go. Look how long that consolidation is right in here. We consolidated for a couple years, and then we broke out, and now we're back testing. We confirmed the back test, and now we're starting to pump higher. So you can also look at it as rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, breakout. But we don't have to go sideways very long because we already went so much accumulation down here that it doesn't need that much reaccumulation as far as time goes, right? But I do like the shape of SHIB, and I haven't even looked at it much, but you know, what is the downside risk? Well, of course, you have, let's just say this is a wave one. You have an A. This is 1, 2, 3. We have a pullback, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the whole thing becomes 1, 2, and then we get 1, and then we come down and we get 2, and we actually retest some of these lows down here in a big ABC. Then we have that monster move to the upside. So that's what we don't know, right? Because again, it's always challenging. Here's point A, right? Here's point B, and now look, we're right in the middle of those 2 points. And all we have to work with is a 3-wave move. So I have to assume from a risk perspective that it's got to come down in an A, B, C, right? Now, if we get through the retracement levels and it resets, pulls up, resets, pulls up, resets, then we can say, okay, it's probably finished and it's going to break out, right? So that's always the tricky spot, is being in a retracement level. Now, if I look at it a little bit more closely, let's go down to the 2-hour chart. I can kind of see a descending or an ascending triangle. I mean, it looks pretty good. You know, we're oscillating, we're getting tight in here. This thing could break out. It can also have a fake out and then a breakout, right? Ascending triangles are known for that. Coming up, looks like it's going to break. It breaks to the downside. It takes this liquidity because here's your trend line here. This is your demand line. If you break that demand line, there's a lot of liquidity there. Boom, take it right back. Would I buy it right this second? Probably not. I mean, it needs to prove to me that that's what it's going to do. But yeah, that's SHIB. Let's see how that plays. V-Chain. I haven't looked at V-Chain in a while. Really the same thing as a few of the other ones we were looking at. So we have a shoulder here, kind of like ADA, looking for a retracement. Maybe we hit the low and then we come up. But all in all, I'm looking for a retracement. Filecoin. Now, Filecoin looks a little bit different because it has more of an impulse to me. You can see that 1, 2, this looks like 3, this looks like 4, let's get 5. And if we get that, it could be a flat. And that's also the problem with the other charts that I didn't really mention, is that they could be flats, right? Meaning, if it's a flat, then you have A, B, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, C. So A, B, C. So if that's a 3-way flat, then it has to prove itself in the retracement. Otherwise, it's going to be an A, B, and then a C, a much larger, very large ABC, right? For the 2-hour chart, at least. So when we zoom out on that, let's go up to the 6-hour. What would it look like? Well, again, A, and this is a flat. So some kind of 3-way move down. So 1, 2, 1, 2, and then go. But that's kind of what I'm thinking here. But anyways, that'll do it for this video. I will catch you guys on the next one. Hit that like, subscribe. Remember, not financial advice, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.